Hey guys, Dr. Mark with Chiropractic. Hope you're doing well. I want to talk to you about some exercises you can do for some sciatic relief. Now, sciatic pain is that nagging, kind of radiating, or even a dull ache that can happen from your back into your glutes and down the back of the hamstring through here. And there's multiple causes of sciatic issues. It could be a compressed disc. It could be some inflammation that's down in the low back from a misalignment and some swelling, putting pressure on a nerve. It can be caused by a tight piriformis as well, which is kind of what we're going to tackle today. A lot of our postural issues, when we get bad posture, we sit too much, our piriformis tends to get tight, and your sciatic nerve is a really big nerve that runs right underneath that piriformis muscle. So if the piriformis muscle gets tight, you can put pressure on that sciatic nerve, giving some sciatic pain down the back of the leg or in the glutes. So I have 3 really simple exercises that we can do to kind of tackle the piriformis. There's other exercises that we can do we'll cover at another time, but for that piriformis specifically, there's kind of a progression of exercises you can do, and I'll kind of show you from kind of most basic, simple, all the way up to a little bit more of a more intense exercise through here. So the first one's a seated 90-90, and essentially you're going to take your leg, cross it over, and really just kind of resting the foot on that opposite knee, and then we want to drive down on the knee that's bent here at a 90-degree angle. If that's too challenging for you, then you can straighten out the opposite leg to drop that knee down a little bit and then slowly start kind of creeping it back up. But once you get into this position, a key thing to do is to take your hips and really rotate up into a good posture. That preloads that piriformis, so you're kind of sticking your belly out, and then you can drive down on that knee. It works the hip capsule, piriformis a little bit. So that's a seated 90-90. You want to hold those for 30 to 60 seconds. You can kind of work into the joint. You don't want to bounce it, but you can kind of pulsate through that joint as well a little bit. From there, the next one would be lying down. It's the same concept. You're going to get a kind of a 90-90 through here. You're going to internally rotate that bottom leg. And then once you get there, you can use your fingers, get into that shoe. And then so you're internally rotated, you're preloaded. And then from there, you want to take this knee and go to the opposite shoulder. So we're going to bring that in. So that's going to ratchet up the intensity a little bit on hitting that piriformis. And again, you can hold that for 30, 60 seconds, repeat that a few times. That really starts getting that piriformis really, really well. That's a little bit more intense. And then the last one's going to be a pigeon pose. And you could do these on the ground. You'll see a lot of people do it as a yoga move on the ground, but I find for most people, you can get a really good stretch and you get a little bit more control over what you're doing if you use a bench like this. So cross your leg over, get the knee up out in front of you, and then you lean back into that hip that you're stretching. So I've preloaded it there, and then I can start dropping that chest down into it. I can go side to side just to change the angle on the hip and on the piriformis. And it's kind of called goading the joint. I can move the hip around a little bit. But you're gonna feel it if you preload down into that hip and then start working that out a little bit. That's a really good stretch. This one's a little bit more dynamic. So you don't have to do a static thing. It's okay to kind of move the muscle, move the joint around when you're stretching that stuff. But spend some good time stretching out the hips, stretching out the piriformis, and that can help really relieve some of that sciatic pain that's going down through there. You don't want to overdo it. You can overstretch a muscle and create some irritation. So hold it for about 30, 60 seconds. Do the other side, walk away for a little bit, come back, do it again. And do it, maybe 6 times throughout the day. And just really monitor your progress through there. So that's some sciatic stretches that you can do to relieve some of that pain. Hope that helps. Check back in for some more exercises you can do for some sciatic.